Manchester After Dark, the nightclub scene of the 1960s. Towards the end of the 1950s and into the 1960s, there was a veritable explosion of nightclubs opening in Manchester. Quite why this happened, I not really know, but that was the fact. They were everywhere. All kinds of nightclubs, from really quite high-end clubs to bottom-end, somewhat seedy. My favourite club, which I used to hang out quite a lot, was called the Chez Joey. It was a high-end, actually. One of the main attractions was it had a great trio with a very good trombone player, jazz trombone player called Eddie Warburton. It was normal for most of these clubs to have a trio, a minimum, of a quality that varied, obviously, from really, really good players to really rather naff players. But the Chez Joey had a really good, very, very good trombone player leading this trio. The club was actually owned by a guy who'd been an ex-fairground boxer and in fact was a member of the wrestling fraternity, freestyle wrestling. So the place was very often filled with extremely large individuals who in general, I got to know them, are actually very nice people. Of course, being quite small, I suppose I offered no threat whatsoever, but I mean, they were really genuinely nice people. It was an extremely good club. I mean, it actually employed in a full-time basis 3 singers. A male singer who was an extremely high standard, who in fact was the master of ceremonies, really, and a couple of young women. It was a very, very well organised and very... it was a controlled environment, the riffraff never got through the doors there. That was the one which I used to hang out at most of all. Then there was another one I used to go to called the Boathouse, which was a bit more down market, in a different part of town, again with a trio, a good trio actually, and it was a great scene if you were a musician, because basically you could wander about all night from club to club to club with your horn and play. They were very happy to see you, obviously, because they worked very long hours, The Boathouse also presented strippers, just 1 or 2 strip shows in the evening. I mean, nothing, a little bit, not sordid isn't the word, but I mean, this young woman would appear out of a door which was essentially the ladies' toilets, and remove her clothes in the small area between the band and the punters. I mean, frankly, I always found the looking at the audience was actually much more fascinating than looking at the back end of the stripper, quite frankly. Again, nice young women, some with children. It was a way of making a living, I suppose. There was another one over near the Midland Hotel called Vacca's, which fell somewhere in between. Again, very well run, good trio. It was a particular place for gentlemen who were looking for ladies who offered services, much more so than any of the others. I mean, this is the speciality of the house, as it were. I pop in there from time to time. And there were many similar places that I used to go in with friends, and we'd play there, and they were happy to see us, very happy to see us. Right down at the bottom end, you had shebeens. I don't know whether you know what a shebeen is, but a shebeen really is an illegal drinking club, which could be in various locations. And I mean, one in particular, Eddie Warburton, the trombone player from the Chez Joey, in fact, held one in his house, which was in a strange area of Manchester called Victoria Park, which in the 19th century had been, I suppose, what you would call an early gated community. it was kind of an area with huge, enormous houses being built on there, which inevitably, of course, the whole place had degenerated and it would come into multiple occupation. There were absolutely no streetlights whatsoever. I mean, it was really dark. But next door, a guy called Mike Sealand, who was a bass player, and his mother opened a jazz club in the cellar of the apartment they were occupying in Victoria Park. Eddie lived in an apartment in the next house, so all you had to do was leg it over the wall between the two back areas, and there you were, Eddie Shabin, which didn't have live music, but in fact, had wonderful jazz records. I remember the first time I was climbing over the wall, hearing Nina Simone, "I Loves You Porgy." It was an extremely dynamic scene, and I mean, it must have had positive economic consequences for Manchester. I'm sure there was a level of criminality there, but obviously I'm just there as a musician and an observer. But I certainly didn't see any great evidence of kind of overt criminality in terms of intimidation, violence, and certainly drugs at that time. Though they probably were around, they really didn't play a very big part in the scene. I mean, alcohol was the substance of choice, I suppose. And what happened to this amazing scene? Well, a new chief constable was appointed for Manchester, and this particular rather dour individual, in fact, obviously applied the law, but he was an individual, in fact, who felt he had an obligation to a greater judge in the sky, as it were, and he basically started a campaign, a very pointed campaign, and closed these places down one by one. It disappeared. I mean, there was obviously still nightclubs around, but nothing like the volume, the numbers and variety of the early 60s Manchester. It was very sad in a way, very sad. Put a lot of musicians out of work, and it really destroyed what was something of a cultural phenomena. I authored a book called Singers. It's a kind of series of linked stories, some of them concerning the Manchester nightclub scene and the people who appeared there. If it is any interest to you at all, you can find a PDF, a copy, available on my shop page. And also, if you want a Kindle edition, there's a link to the book on Amazon Kindle. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please subscribe.